Well, it's good. Obviously they have Robbie Keane back as well, so it's the same for everybody. And it's good that you're going to allow those guys, Lee Wynn and Jermaine Jones and DeAndre to return after the game. That's what we thought was going to happen, and that happened. So it's good for DeAndre because he doesn't have to deal with the game there and the flight back on the Wednesday.
Are there any concerns about just the travel and him having to play that extra game while the guys have had this time off?
No. I mean, he's actually stays in a rhythm of playing once a week, which isn't the worst thing. Yeah.
He said he's kind of been playing different roles for the national team. They have him in the midfield some, playing defense some, and he's also kind of been filling a different role for you guys lately, staying kind of farther back. Does that kind of speak to his development as a player, that he can kind of put on both hats?
No, I think his defending, he's taken his defending seriously for us over the last few games, and he's been very conscientious about his defending. And as he continues to grow and continues to develop, he's going to make better decisions defending-wise and better decisions attacking-wise. And, I thought with the national team when he first pushed up in the midfield, he had some good moments, and then he sort of drifted away. But it's all part of a learning process, part of a growth process.
We'd spoken with, we got a little time with Joe Roth over the weekend, and he said that he thought in sort of changing the team over the offseason that maybe there were too many dancers last year and it's more of a workman-like team this year with more grit. Do you see that?
There's still some dancers out there, for sure. I wouldn't call Papa a worker. He's more of a dancer. But, it's just a mix of the team. It was more a situation of, we were similar in terms of we had maybe a few guys that played similarly. Is that a word? Similarly? Or played likewise, or played like each other on the field, and so there wasn't enough room and positions for those four players. So by moving that around, it helped. I think also we talked about as a group, we talked about having more grit and having more determination, and I think adding players who have had experiences of winning an MLS Cup, like a Chad Marshall or a Chad Barrett and people like that, and Kenny Cooper, who's also had some success. I think he was. I'm trying to remember now if he was with the Dallas team when they got to the finals or not. I think he was on the team that year, but wasn't with them when they got to the finals. But adding those guys who were experienced players who'd been around the league, sort of knew what it take, who were good pros in terms of even if they weren't in the first team, they were still going to train hard. I think all those things helped.
Also, last Friday was the anniversary of them putting out the release saying that they were going to retain you, and now he says that was certainly a good decision, kind of regardless of how the rest of this season plays out. So, I mean, for all the difference maybe in the way that you're being perceived right now by some people, do you feel you had a better year? Do you feel you improved as a coach this season?
Well, first off, I thought it was an excellent decision that they decided to retain me. I was very much in support of that decision. But no, it's, you coach. I mean, it's like I said, last year, and you still scratch your head. Sometimes I was talking to my youngest son whose team got knocked out in the league playoff semifinals, and he was saying, "I need 2 days away. It still bothered me." I said, "I have games that I look back upon that were 11 years ago and 20 years ago, and I still scratch my head of saying, why did I do this? Why didn't I do that?" So, but that's just part of it. And but as a coach, you're always trying to do well every year. So, I don't look at it as, well, this was a better coaching year than last year or anything like that. I just think, we always strive for the same goals, and this year we've been able to keep our focus and go forward with it, and guys have fulfilled their roles and have bought in, and it's been a good year because of that. Sometimes injuries get in the way, sometimes things that are outside your control get in your way as well. But I think the team's done a good job of playing this year.
I'm sure this isn't top on your list, but is there some satisfaction in shutting up doubters?
Oh, it's like I said before to you guys, I think, as a coach, you're going to make 10 decisions. If you're a good coach, 7 to 8 of those decisions are going to be good, and there's 2 to 3 that are going to be bad. And if you're a bad coach, you're going to make probably 7 to 8 bad decisions out of 10. But you're also going to make a couple of good decisions. So, people are always going to doubt you. There's always going to be somebody who thinks, well, you should have done it that way. You should have done it this way. Yeah, you won, but you could have won by 3 if you would have done this. I mean, that's just, that's just human nature. I think we all do that. We all do that when we look at other sports. We all do that when we look at different activities. So do I get satisfaction, the German word Schadenfreude out of that stuff, no. You know.
Any idea how that word is spelled?
Schadenfreude. Schadenfreude is SCHADENFREUDE. Schadenfreude. It's actually a word in German that people are, you know, happy at others' misfortune. Like, you know, like, okay, this team fired me. I hope they lose every game after that, and that's Schadenfreude. You know, that's kind of thing. So, try to avoid that as much as possible. I mean, it creeps in. I think it creeps into everybody, but you know, you sort of sit there and say, no, I got to be above this.
With the guys last week not having to like train with the game on the horizon, and then just having these 3 days off, how do you kind of get them refocused and you know, back in the mindset with a big game coming up on the weekend?
It's down to work. We didn't, you know, you don't want to spend 2 weeks of psychological buildup in your mind up to the games. So we wanted to train and, you know, play some soccer and concentrate on our soccer. And, you know, and today the same thing. You know, so our focus is let's make sure we're playing well, and we'll start thinking about the Galaxy as this week moves on. But it's more importantly that we execute and we do well.